You know, the weather's getting a little cooler now that it's fall, but there's still some signs of summertime around. So I'm going to show you how you can do a really quick and easy, beautiful Italian bread stew. Come on. Okay, so as I mentioned outside, I'm going to make a great pesto stew. It's actually called the pesto bread stew. And it's great for this time of year because it warms you up. It's comfort food. So as you can see, I've got these tomatoes. I've got 6 total. And let's go ahead and cut this one in half. These are just cut in half. Get yourself a cookie sheet and just cut these right in half. Don't have to worry about stemming them or seeding them or anything at this point. We'll deal with that later. Right now, we're just going to do this. We're going to put plenty of salt and pepper. I'm using a little bit of sea salt today, you know, because I've been finding out, folks. I've been finding out about salt, and we've got some issues with salt. You know that salt you've been buying all those years with that nice, cute little cartoon girl on the front cover? Go home, throw it away, because that's mostly, or not mostly, but it includes something called caking agent. Caking agent is not good. Caking agent is chemical. So these salts taste great. Get some sea salt. Just go down and experiment with salt. This is a little bit of olive oil that we're going to use. Put some olive oil right over the top of these tomatoes. And don't be stingy with the olive oil. And then we'll put a little bit of fresh milled pepper on top. If you got a pepper mill yet, you don't have to go spend a lot of money on pepper mills. You can buy them. You can actually buy the pepper in its own mill. It comes packed in a mill. So you can actually buy it like that. Get that because it's so much better. So look at this. We've got ample salt, pepper, and olive oil on our tomato halves. Now, if you've got fresh tomatoes in your garden, this entire recipe is going to be cheap. Now, if you have to go out and buy them, that won't be too terribly bad. It'll still be relatively cheap. But I'm telling you, if you've got fresh tomatoes, fresh basil, and you spend a couple bucks on a loaf of bread, you're going to put this entire meal together to serve about 4 or 5 people for less than $5. This goes into a 400-degree oven for, I would say approximately 40 minutes. Let's get real. And let's go for 40 minutes because the recipe originally said 35, but I think we got to go 40. So let's set it for 40. In the meantime, we're going to make a pesto. Now, if you've watched our television show, you've seen us make pesto all the time, and you know that it can be many things. But it basically includes nuts, garlic, and some sort of green. Now, today in this recipe, we're not going to include garlic. If you want to, you can, but the original recipe doesn't call for garlic. We've never made it with garlic, so we're not going to start. So let's go ahead and start with our pesto. So get yourself a handy-dandy food processor. If you don't have a food processor, a blender will work. And then we're going to start off with some basil. Now, I got some fresh basil. Right? I brought it in from the garden. You know what I did? I went out, replanted it in a pot, brought it in to you. No, I didn't do that. I bought this like this, but this is a good way to buy it. But go ahead and take off. You know, what we're going to want to take off is about 2 cups worth of fresh basil. So, you know, I'll start picking. You tell me when to stop. When should I stop? About 2 cups worth? I don't know. I mean, I don't need that much. I don't want to completely de-leave this entire herb plant. But I think that should be about enough right there. All right, so get yourself a decent handful. We can always throw a little bit more in. And then let's go ahead and put this in. And then we're going to put pine nuts in. So pine nuts, so we've got probably 2 ounces of pine nuts that we're going to go ahead and throw in there. All right, go ahead and throw that in. And then, where's our lid? Here it is. Go ahead and process away, baby. Now you'll see that is becoming a nice fine texture. When it gets like that, go ahead and start pouring in the olive oil. The olive oil is what makes pesto. It makes it taste good, but it also gives it a nice workable consistency. Nice workable consistency, especially for our pesto roasted tomato bread stew today. It's going to be excellent. All right, so once we do this, we can correct this with a little bit of salt and pepper. So grab our pepper mill, and you know what? I got to put in something else in here. I forgot the Parmesan cheese. All right, let's go ahead and put that in right now. Parmesan cheese. 3 ingredients in this. 3. You don't have to do that. You know, I put in the stuff that you buy at the store. It's not the true blue Parmigiano Reggiano. You can use that if you want, but for this recipe, you can get away with it. It's going to go into a stew. I just put my finger in and test it. It's just right. Just right. Don't need any more of anything else. So now our pesto's made, and we've done most of the work right now. We've got those tomatoes in the oven. We're just going to wait for them to roast, and then we'll continue on making our stew. Hey, I think those tomatoes are ready. Come on. Okay, so I finally took my tomatoes out of the oven. They were in there for about 40 minutes, and then I let them set for about another 20 minutes because they have to be cool so that you can work with them, because you're gonna work with your hands here. Now grab a spoon and grab one of these tomato halves, and you're gonna take everything that's inside here except for the skin, because you'll notice there's a little bit of that skin. See, got a little bit brown, but that's okay, that's not going in our soup. We're just gonna put everything but that right into the stew. And as you can see, I've got about 6 cups of chicken broth that I've put into this pot. Whoa, that one got in there. He's not supposed to. You come back out here, you little son of a gun. I'll put him over here for now. So I've got about 6 cups of chicken stock. And if you make your own, it's better. If you don't have time to make your own, don't worry about it. Just get some store-bought chicken stock. But nonetheless, get it up to a boil, and then go ahead and just put your nice, flavorful, oh, and it really is, it's wonderful. It's flavorful tomatoes. They've been roasted in that wonderful olive oil and salt and pepper, and just got a nice roasty flavor about them. Okay, now that I've got all my tomatoes into my chicken stock, I'm going to go ahead and put in my pesto that I made. We'll put that right in. Add that right to the pot. Oh, I mean, what's great about this meal, folks, and what you're going to love about it, is you get such a nice combination of flavors. And as you can see, a nice combination of colors too. But you get the pesto with the basil and the pine nuts and the Parmesan cheese, along with this wonderful roasted flavor. That's the key here, is this roasted flavor of the tomatoes. So once you get all your pesto in there, let's go ahead and stir that up a little bit. Bring that to a boil. Stir that. So yes, you got that going nicely. And then, I told you this was a bread stew. So this bread is going to, in effect, thicken up this stew. And as you'll see, the tomatoes are going to stay, not completely dissolved, but they're going to stay somewhat whole. The bread will dissolve somewhat, but it's going to stay somewhat whole. But it'll thicken it up enough just so you get this nice, hearty stew. And it's so good on a fall day. Keep in mind that the fresher your ingredients and the higher the quality of your ingredients, no matter what you're making, will always make your food taste better, that much better. All right, so what we will do is we will just let this bread soak up. You're not going to use the whole loaf, just kind of enough to it thickens up a little bit. We're not going to use the whole loaf, we're just going to let that boil down a little bit and soak up that wonderful flavor into that bread. Give it maybe just another 3-4 minutes, and then we're going to ladle it up and enjoy it. I can't wait to enjoy this hot roasted tomato bread stew. You know, if you want to try this, and if you own our cookbook already, it's on page 112. If you want to buy the cookbook, you can get that on maninthekitchen.com. Or if you've got a Facebook account, Facebook me. We're there under Man in the Kitchen. Also Twitter, of course, that we're Man in the Kitchen. We couldn't get Man in the Kitchen, but we're Man in the Kitchen. So you can get a hold of me anyway. I'd like to hear from you. I'm going to enjoy some of this stew. We'll look forward to seeing you next time.